Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here. We're drinking beer and play a game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 205. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hi, Bri.
Hi, Jim.
My tummy hurts.
So, as you can see, only one of us are drinking some alcohol tonight. I get it. I've been on sicknesses, had my medication, so I'm not pressuring Jim. See, I'm a nice guy.
See, I can take a week off.
See?
Huh?
I mean,
I'm not as much of a degenerate drunk as I portray myself as.
I mean, you've probably been
But
on
I actually
a
am.
how many day drinking binge leading up to today?
Let's not ask questions, Brian.
Fatty liver, what's that?
Yeah.
Those are just words, right?
It's only been... Well, Brian, what season like Easter to really bring in the alcohol, huh? Bring family together, booze it up?
I mean, hey, we were together on Saturday, and we went through those beers that I brought.
Had you Steel Reserve?
I did have my Steel Reserve.
Orange Soda Steel Reserve at that.
Yeah, so we posted the picture of that. So a thing we do at Jim's house every year is we have like Easter egg hunt for the kids and then one's for the adults. It's guys versus girls. I found the golden egg. So part of it is like candy,
Scratch tickets.
And then they get like some kind of alcohol. So Jim was all giddy. He's like, oh, I know what I'm getting you. And he brings over the big bomber can of Steel Reserve. It was called something else, but then orange spiked or something.
It was like, just like the orange soda.
Yeah. And so I said, okay, well, you'll split that with me because there's no way I'm going to drink this whole thing.
8% alcohol.
8% alcohol. I'll give it this. It does kind of taste like orange soda.
Looked like it too.
But it has that Steel Reserve aftertaste.
Wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I didn't think it was that bad. I was also pretty half in the bag by then.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, because I don't even know how many other beers I went through, aside from the ones we had. So I felt like I had a weekend. I've been tying them on. Yesterday I was at my brother's, had two Tired Hands Alien Church. Ooh. Have you had that one before?
No, where do you get Tired Hands around here? Because I got to bring some to my trip this weekend.
Go to the Super Value Beverage up past me.
Okay.
On like York or something. So go there, and I just happened to see it, which I never see them. So they had Alien Church and I think one other, or I'm sorry, not Super Value, the one on 611, that big ass beer store.
Oh, okay.
Go there. They have a huge selection. I've never seen Tired Hands.
Yeah, I never see it like anywhere.
No. So I brought Alien Church and my brother was like, wow, that shit's great. So then, of course, the after dinner whiskey cap, and it was poured strong. So yeah, I woke up today. I was like, all right, I think one more day of drinking, and then I'll give my liver a break for a couple days.
There you go.
So you're just getting a head start on me.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, Friday I was at like a brewery and tried like everything they had.
Yeah.
And then Saturday was the all day thing. Like I was drinking before we even came over. I think it was like noon when I started, and my wife was like, already breaking into the beer? I'm like, you're already on your second mimosa. And she's like, touche.
I was about to say, she can't ever give you shit.
No.
And then yesterday, I assumed you, did you go hard in the pain a little bit?
I didn't go hard, but I had a couple.
Yeah. Was it Tully's or beer?
It was beer and some seltzers.
You wonder why your belly hurts.
Yeah, it's probably those goddamn seltzers ripping my stomach apart.
Or it's Steel Reserve. It's probably still paying you back. But tonight, so I will be drinking the Sam Adams, which I haven't seen this before. The commercials. Are you a fan of these commercials from Sam Adams? Where it's that guy from Boston, and he does all the like he just does the Boston accent with like beer stuff, but it's always it's like for Sam Adams. Have you never seen them?
No.
Okay,
I don't really have real TV, so.
I mean, but you watch sports.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't pay attention to the commercials.
That's true. So, yeah. So, I was curious because we were talking about beer commercials, and right now, that's the closest thing to, like, a funny beer commercial. But I don't know how funny it is. It's cute. I'll say that. But their whole series right now is the Wicked stuff. So this one is, I got the Wicked like 12 variety pack. This is their Wicked Tropical Ale, 6%. It's a tide of tropical notes like papaya and coconut surge at you from this new IPA. Wicked Tropical is a juicy, smooth hop tsunami with notes of pina colada and apple. That's what I was tasting. A pillowy mouthfeel and lingering sweet finish. It's like a vacation that stays with you. Who doesn't need that?
Oh, I could definitely use one of those.
It does taste like pina colada.
And Brian, tonight I am drinking from the Pure Aqua Company their fruit flavored water. Natural grape. Natural with other natural flavored purified water beverage.
Natural. I'm sure everything
really,
about
really
that's
driving
natural.
home is natural a lot of these words.
And I'm sure everything about that's completely natural.
Calorie zero. I'm sure that's real. I'm sure the Splenda Olestra in here isn't going to wreck my ass probably.
So, fuck.
Brian, I got to be honest with you though. The funniest beer commercial out there right now is Kid Rock shooting a bunch of Bud Lights.
So I know that happened, but I haven't seen it actually.
Oh, you have to see it. Brian, this is the most genius psyop by Bud Light I've ever seen. They're just completely tricking all the crybaby. They're making conservatives look like crybaby retards, and it's 100% working.
But who do you think drinks their beer?
The exact people who are buying it and to shoot it.
Well, I know, but really, do you think that this may...
And most people don't care. Most probably don't even know, and then even more probably don't
Well,
care.
I was going to say, I know he's upset with something with Bud Light. I don't actually know what it is.
They have, they put like the rainbow flag on like some cans, like a whole line of run of the cans for Bud Light.
Like Pride cans or something?
Yeah, Pride flag. And then they had like Dylan Mulvaney, I don't know what her name is now. She's been like in like overly flamboyant person, like in the sphere of stuff online. Like I've heard the name and never looked into it.
Was she like a YouTuber or
something, or a TikToker or some shit, some kind of influence. I don't know. And then like now she's a woman, and then like she's the spokesperson for Bud Light right now. Everyone's going, goddamn. So they're all just like running him over with bulldozers, or Kid Rock's like shooting him up with his AR and shit like that.
Does he still do anything?
Well, he does. He's done country music for like 15 years.
No, but I'm saying...
He's made a pride flag, and nothing's scarier than country music.
I'm saying,
Quite the
does
irony.
he still do it, though?
Yeah, he still does.
Oh.
Still got to... I mean, he lives on this gigantic, like, 400-acre estate. Like,
Well, when you
he's
ball
a
with
millionaire.
when you ball with the ball, you bang to bang diggity.
I don't know. It all went down after Joe C for me. So,
Don't you dare.
rest
Jim.
in peace, little man.
Don't
Rest in peace.
Don't you dare. Yeah, surprise. Another thing I didn't know. I knew about Kid Rock. I didn't know why. I don't care. I don't drink Bud Light anyway, so I don't care. And none of it matters. Does it matter, Jim?
It doesn't matter.
But, yeah, I do want to look into that now. Now you got me kind of interested, so...
Yeah, I think someone posted it in the Discord a while ago, and they didn't even realize like the reason why he was doing it. They were just like, "Why is Kid Rock shooting these Bud Lights?"
That's so silly. Oh well. But Chambers, since you're not drinking with me tonight, what have you been able to play since last week? And I know little announcement. So by the time you're seeing this, the bonus beers episode has already been released with our buddy Nick. Jim, you son of a bitch.
Daddy did it again. I like how like my goal with like when it's my turn to pick these things is I want to do it somewhat topical so I can keep myself up with pop culture kind of. But I always want to pick in mid to bad stuff.
Mostly bad.
Because I hate you. So.
Yeah. So he chose Poppy Gringo or Gringo Pop, which
Gringo
one?
Poppy, I think.
Brendan Schaub's thing.
Gringo Poppy.
Yeah. So Nick, Jim, and I reviewed that. It's it was a thing. So the next pick is going to be Super Mario Brothers. We're going to try to do this by the end of this month to catch up. But yeah, so that episode's already been released. I know we talked on that one, but have you been able to play anything?
Not a ton. After I have not had a shitload of time. So Body Harvest I'll get back to next week.
Okay.
Because I actually want to do a little experiment. So like I've had like a super cheap like S-video cable for my N64.
Okay.
So I want to see if like a legit one like gives a better picture. Because sometimes if you buy a cheap cable, it's not really that good.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for that to come in. So JD, I'm sorry it's taking so long, but I'll make sure I get the picture as good as possibly can. So
don't you have what'd you buy? Not a Frame Meister. What'd you?
I have a RetroTink 5X.
Okay. And that doesn't make it look good?
No, I mean, it does make it look good, but you're only going to make it as good as the signal you put into it.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, like composite, it can look as nice composite, but
it's still composite.
Cheap as video will still be cheap as video, it'll just be looking nicer.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
if I have the best I can get, and without buying an N64, the best you can get is S video. So I'm trying. We'll see. And if it makes no difference, then I wasted my time and money as per usual.
Jim, the real question is, how many wins you up to in Tetris 19?
Not a lot, Brian, because that was the other goddamn thing I played, and I still haven't won the goddamn game yet.
Since this return to playing it, how many hours do you think you've done?
I like 3 or 4.
That's not too bad.
Not too bad. But I mean, like, I had like actual time to myself on Friday, and I was like, okay, I have a block of time. I should be able to do this. I have a good block of time. Best I did was like 5th a couple times.
That's heartbreaking. Yeah,
well, and it was a couple times. Like at least probably 50% of the time, I was within the top 10.
Yeah,
I was within the top 10 almost a ton of times, and I just couldn't do it. It was just all squiggles in the goddamn names after on the leaderboards, and it got too fast, and you make one fuck up, and it's all over.
Jim, I actually got mad at you because I started replaying that, and I thought, you're such a contrarian, and you like the goofiest shit. I could see you being like, I kind of like the Z's shape the best. Those squiggles. Like, just to be a dick. Because I'd be like, there's nothing better than that feeling of getting the straight line, getting the full Tetris. And I could see you arguing, like, but if you get the Z, like...
Nah. I like the long boys.
Yeah, I
use that sound clip as you will. It's fine. I don't care.
I like the long boys. Oh, Jim.
I have nothing left.
But Jim, just how sweet is that victory going to be? At this point, it's going to be an angry victory. It's not even going to be enjoyable.
I don't know if I'm going to cry from happiness, relief, or sadness. And the sadness will be taking this long and me wasting this much of my life on it.
It only came out in, what, 2019?
Something like that. Too fucking long ago. Brian, it's one of my most played Switch games. It shouldn't be one of my most played Switch games. I remember when you
said that, and I was like, wait, what?
And it dropped for a little while because I wasn't playing it. And I think it's creeping its way back up.
Jim.
God.
So anything else?
No, that's really it.
Yeah, I other than just dabbling back in Tetris 99, I finally got into Resident Evil 4 Remake, and yeah, I mean, I'm still super early. They've definitely changed enough. They seem to be leaning way more into the horror aspect. Obviously, the action shit's still there. If I had one complaint, and I don't know if the other two did this, the camera seems too zoomed in to the over the shoulder, where your peripheral is it's non-existent.
Really?
So like, I don't know. Like maybe that's how 2 and 3 were, and I didn't have an issue with it. But like literally, I feel like when you're aiming, you're basically so uptight that when you're in those open areas, like you have to have headphones on and hear them coming from the sides. Because the number of times you get grabbed, you're like, what the fuck? Because there's so many enemies in that game. Luckily, haven't died yet. I was expecting the chainsaw dude to get me. But no, it's great. I mean, all these remakes are really well done. I'm just curious to see how it goes on longer. Like the puzzles are kind of simpler, but you still have the goofy shit like find chicken eggs and like shoot medallions. Mm-hmm. So it's all really good. I think I'm going to enjoy finishing it. I don't know how long it is. None of these remakes have been really over 6 hours or 8 hours, I feel like.
Okay.
So we'll see. I think it's something you need to get into though. Maybe drop your Tetris and your Elden Ring.
I haven't even touched Elden Ring once. That's not fucking happening this year.
It's April. You've already written it.
I'll never get to anything else. I won't even beat 23 games.
You don't think so?
No. But yeah, did I mention that I played Sonic Adventure 2 some more after we recorded?
Yeah, you said played a little more. Still don't like it.
Still don't like it. It's fucking Sonic fans, come on. Just come on.
Jim, at this point,
be real. Just be real.
Here's a question.
This is one I'm so not enjoying playing through that like this is gonna drag out me getting to like other stuff too.
But is this one where?
But I have to beat it. It's on my resolution list and it's on my Like, I'm so far, I have to beat it for the 23.
Is there any chance you don't like it because you just did that marathon of Shadow? Because it's, even though I'm sure it's a little different, there's still enough where it's like, you just did a gazillion hours of this.
That isn't helping, but it also isn't helping that Shadow, I take time,
Is better.
is better.
Is it because of the guns or the attitude?
Well, obviously both. Here's what it really is. It's one bad game type, but it's only one bad game type. So you eventually can get used to its quirks.
So what was adventure, multiple?
You play as one of 3 completely different game types.
Oh.
So you have the Sonic Speed stages, which control worse. And they do the fun thing of, like, unlocking abilities throughout your time through. So it makes it a little better as you go through. But by the time you're there, you're like, well, I'm annoyed.
What am I doing?
And it's still like sloppy and hit detection shit. So, and then the Knuckles stages. I think I said this last episode, but to sum her up real quick, the Knuckles stages, they control the best, but they're these big open areas where you have to find 3 pieces of the Chaos Emerald, and they only give you so many hints, and it's very annoying. And some stages are very, very big, so that sucks. And then the tail stages, you're in this mech that is very slippery to control, and it's like kind of okay, but it's also kind of boring. So,
interesting.
Yeah, I'm not enjoying it. And when I'm done with that, then I have to go through it again as the bad guy versions of all of them.
But do you?
You know what?
If
I see some credits after doing the Sonic F,
you beat it. If you beat it once, it's like it'd be like arguing with ghouls and ghosts. Do you need to go through, or ghosts and goblins? Do you need to beat it twice to really beat it? No, fuck that. If I beat it once, I'm not going through and getting the true ending. I beat it once.
Yeah.
I say give yourself the break.
I might need the break.
Jim, let me ask you this. What would be more of an accomplishable goal for you? If you had to rebeat Shadow again, all 10 endings, and get A's on all of them.
Oh, God.
Or get 10 wins in Tetris 99. Which one would you do faster?
Probably Shadow at this point. I have enough scientific evidence behind me, Brian, to know what will take longer.
So my goal with Tetris is I'm at the point where I previously had 6 or 7 wins. I want to just get to 10 and be like, that's enough for me. I'm done.
He wants 10. I want a 10th of that. That's all I want.
It's just math.
Math and words, my downfall.
Jamer, so what questions do we have from our awesome patrons this week?
Patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. First up, from The Rich Dickman Show. So, Rich Dickman once had a fling with a famous mime, which made me appreciate the art of silence. If I were to play Thomas Was Alone, what craft beer would you recommend to evoke the same quiet charm as my mute lover?
There was a lot said in that. Thomas Was Alone.
I've never played that.
What is it?
It's some kind of game. I think I've heard of it before, but...
Thomas Was
Research.
Alone. It looks like a platformer and you play as a rectangle? I imagine it's a really annoying one where it's probably like a Super Meat Boy, but it's...
Oh, it probably is something like that. Oh, it's got some like ambient lighting and shit like that.
It's like kind of...
I bet it's one of those ones that kind of fucks with your mind too.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I'm sure it's kind of cool because I keep seeing all these other shapes.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's interesting. All right.
So if you're gonna play that, when I'm thinking in terms of silence, you want something a little more subtle. I would honestly go with, you know what? Go a little, since this is obscure, but you want something that's not going to overpower you. Go with like a nice smoked porter because you're going to get chocolatey smoke flavor. I've never had one that felt too boozy or even with the smoke and chocolate flavors was too much. It's a very mild beer because they're never really going to get above 6, maybe 6.5%. And something like that seems very chill. For like that mood, the way that game is, I imagine it's almost like the game Inside or something with the way that lighting is. So kind of a darker mood. So it made me think of a darker beer. Yeah, smoked porters. I don't have a specific one. all of them that I've tried have been good. So try one of those.
All right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Damn it, Jim. Fuck.
Next up from Kev called, what is your favorite horror anthology movie or TV show?
Movie is Trick or Treat. That is now my go-to more than even Halloween. The wife and I, every single year, we watch it. I mean, since we watch it, one of my birthdays, we played it on a projector on my back lawn. It's just such a fun Halloween movie, and I have so many anthology ones I love. But series, I would have always said American Horror Story, but the past couple seasons, I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Do you still watch that?
Yeah, like I still do.
Wow, no one talks about that anymore.
And there's a reason. It's just like I don't even. They're like no longer like let's be horror. They're almost like let's strictly be political.
Oh, good.
And I'm like, oh, that's fun for everyone. So yeah, I would have said that. So putting that aside, it would have to be Tales from the Crypt, just because I can still go back, watch those episodes, and they still hold up so well. And as a kid, seeing that entrance of the Crypt Keeper going through the castle, that theme, oh man, that was such a great thing. And when they made it a cartoon, even as a kid, I was like, it's kind of corny compared to the show. But I loved it, so yeah, I'll probably go with that as mine.
Did you ever get to watch as a kid the HBO version where it's like, more uncensored and everything like that?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So when I say Tales,
because I mostly watch it on like Fox when they would have it at night, but they cut out.
They cut out everything. Yeah. That was one of the first things, and I still have it. No, that I torrent it. Like I have all the torrents for.
Nice.
And it's so low quality. I'm like still like I need to just buy it all. Oh, dude. Yeah. The amount of that's what my wife even said. She's like, I think as a kid, like that was the first like sex scenes or nudity I saw on TV. Oh man, you go back, it has like all the major stars from the 90s, like Demi Moore, Joe Pesci, friggin' I think Nick Cage is in one of like Christian Slater. Like they have like everyone from back then, and they are so well done because it's all practical effects. Yeah, that thing is pretty much unbeatable. You don't. I mean, I know you don't really watch TV in general, but
I mean, I'll copy your answer again with Tales from the Crypt because I watched a shitload out of that as a kid.
Yeah.
Even though it was mostly the nuded version. But. And then for movies, obviously I'm not the horror guy that you are.
Sure.
But let me throw some Chillerama out there. Let me give some love to that.
Chillerama is it's
when one of your three movies is called The Diary of Anne Frankenstein. How do you not just fall in love?
I'm trying to remember. So is it Spermzilla?
Yeah, it was like Spermzilla. Was it Attack of the 50-Foot Sperm? I forget.
That's what I can't remember. It was one or the other.
Spermzilla.
It was I was a teenage gay werebear.
Right, it was just werebear. You didn't need to.
No. I thought I was a teenage. No, because it was copying. I was a teenage werewolf.
Right, so it was called I Was a Teenage Werebear.
But wasn't it called? I don't know. I thought it was
the gay part wasn't in the title,
but it was in the.
It's implied.
No, it's not implied. It's the whole episode.
You gotta know what bears are, Brian. Twins and bears.
Yeah. Then there was the Diary of Anne Frankenstein. And then
it was just a 3, but then there was the overarching story.
At the actual.
Yeah, at the drive-in.
That thing was pretty. I haven't seen it since I showed it to you guys. So
I watched it a couple years later with my wife, and I was like, it's goofy. But I was like, I'm still enjoying myself with this.
It's a turn your brain off, have fun.
It's very much better the first time you watch it because you're just going, wow. But when you know what to expect, like some of them don't hold up as well. I think the sperm one took the biggest hit watching it a second time. But I think Werebear and Frankenstein got better the second time.
Well, it's just
Let's put it this way. JD from Grandma's Boy plays Adolf Hitler. I'll just give you that. Take with that what you will.
And he's
good times had by all.
It was quite a movie. Yeah. I mean, and I will say at Christmas time, the wife and I have I think it's called Christmas Horror Story, where there's a whole anthology of Christmas horror movies, which are actually really, really well done. So, I mean, I know you're a big fan of Santa Sleighs with Bill Goldberg.
Well, obviously.
But no, that, like I said, there's so many great anthologies, and that's a genre I never get tired of because chances are you're not going to find all of them are terrible.
Right.
So, no, that's a great question, though. Thank you, bud.
Next up from JD Maines. What actor crushed a role so well that no actor will ever be able to measure up to that performance? That is a toughie wuffy.
So, my line of thinking would go apply to many roles, but one that always pops in my mind is Matt Damon in The Departed because of how much you hate him by the end of it. It actually made me dislike Matt Damon in other movies. He did it so well. He's such an unlikable character.
He's such a little shit.
And a little scumbag that there's not one person that feels bad for him or whatever. Like, anyone who watches that, if I have to say spoiler, at the end when Mark Wahlberg gets him, there's such a feeling of like, yes. But like he killed it. Like being such a kind of bitchy, cowardy dude, like he killed it. So I think that's what whoever can evoke the most emotion from you is where my mind goes. Because I have a whole list of like guys that are like bad guys that did the same thing where I don't like them anymore because of a role they did.
Yeah. Do I just go to my tried and true just cavalcade of Tarantino roles?
I mean, there'd be so many then.
I know, like Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards is just like that perfect evil soldier, like cunning guy. Or
he's just perfect in every role he like.
It's true.
Him as the dentist good guy or the evil guy, like he can just be whatever he needs to be.
Right. Or Sam Jackson as the head house slave.
I mean, yeah, that's a role you just go, wow. Wow. Even in that, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, like, yeah, as Calvin Candy.
The fact that he's who he is and was willing to do that role, and you're like, what the fuck? And he's despicable.
That's the role. That's the movie where I went, holy shit, Don Johnson can really act. Be entertaining.
Yeah. I mean,
it wasn't that. Oh fuck! What was the? It wasn't Nash Bridges. Sure as hell wasn't Nash Bridges, but.
But no, I look at that and I go, yeah, it's Tarantino has a way of.
He gets his people and he gets the best out of them.
Yeah. So who are you going with?
I got to give it to Waltz and Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else can really pull that off the way he did.
Well, what he pulled off in that was at first you're like, this guy's not intimidating, and then he flips a switch in all those long like conversations. Like,
I mean, he pulls it off in the very beginning during that interrogation.
Well, that's what I mean. Like it's very tense, but I think the most tense is when he's at the dinner or at the restaurant with the chick.
Oh yeah,
and he's like eating the pie, and like you're just like, what the fuck? And it never actually has a payoff of him like revealing, but you're like, does he know? I think he knows. Yeah, like he is. That's a master class of acting right there. So yeah, that is a damn good role.
Mm-hmm. So, no, good question. That's a good noodle scratcher.
I love it, yeah.
And last up from Burn Retinas. Have you ever planned a review, played the game some, and midway through changed your plans on it?
Plan to review something and then given up.
It's a good question because normally if we have, especially back when we had our like gimmick months when we had time, we plowed through some really bad things just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
Just to say we did them all.
I mean, the only things like we said we have like, I'll call it spring cleanup. Like we're going back and finishing off Mortal Kombat Special Forces. When we did our Mortal Kombat,
I played that 3 years ago and captured the footage, and we still have to do that review.
Yeah, so it's one of those deals where it's like we wanted to do all of Mortal Kombat. We never really intend to do the side things, and then Jim was like, "Well, I got mythologies, and I can get the." And so we're like, "Okay, we got Shaolin monks." We never did. We never
reviewed it.
Yeah, same deal. I have all the footage for that. Like, but did we ever actually say like, "Let's do a game and stop"?
Yeah, because obviously the Patreon review videos we suffer through, so we're not going to say no to those.
No, I mean, I think it is fair to say. So
we've had projects we've planned that we never really went through.
Projects we've planned, or we've also, like when we first started the page, it was all about, like you can see our first videos, it was like, we're going to find the best fighting game. So we would literally play like dozens of these games, and we stopped somewhere like pretty early in the Super NES.
Early Genesis Super NES, because we would do like, the double ports.
A couple of them. Same with sports games. Like we kind of decided, we're getting so burnt out on doing every single sports game that we were like, let's mix it up with something else. And like Jim said, if we did a gimmick, we saw it all the way. That Simpsons month, all 30 some games.
Yep.
Superman or
Road Rash.
Road Rash, the Stallone games.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, no, I can't say we've ever picked a game and just stopped. It was more the gimmicks when we first started. But yeah, I think if we decide we're going to review it, we're pretty much going to do it.
Yeah, because, what's the fun in not getting mad at something that you plow your way through? To the very end.
I don't know if there would be a game that I would ever just say, no, fuck it. The only thing that would...
DK?
Well, that's the only game where it's like, I wasn't willing to... I'm not going to 100% that game for the review. I was like, I'll play it all the way. I'm not going to 100% this thing. That was where I was like, I can't do that. That would be the closest to saying like...
Yeah, actually sneaking, because I did like 60 out of 80 levels. And I was like, fuck this, Brian did it all.
Yeah, and that's why that's part of the reason why we always split up. We always decide one of us has to beat it at least once. With Jim with Shadow, he decided, I'm going to beat every ending.
Well, Brian, he couldn't just leave the people. Had to get that final fight with Black Doom footage. That so important footage.
We still gotta put it all together and get all the endings and just throw it out there for everyone.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, because I did not record every single run that I did.
Well, the good news is all you need to do now is go to the movie viewer and just record that.
That is true.
That's all you gotta do. So
we'll slap it together like Parappa and hope for the best.
And then that'll be our second most viewed video.
Fucking, why do I still do this? God.
Because you have so much fun.
Sure do. Every day's a blessing.
But good question.
And that wraps up the questions for this week. So once again, thank you to all the patrons out there. Really appreciate the support. If you're new on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube, depending on where you're listening to this, head over to the other platforms. Give some subs, leave some reviews and comments. Any 5 stars, we'll read them on the page.
Nah, truly appreciate it, guys. So, Chambers.
Probably didn't ask how my water's treating me.
I imagine it's treating you pretty well.
It's delightful. The natural
grape.
The natural grape really comes through.
I will say this beer is goddamn delicious. Goes down way too easy. And there is that, you definitely get coconut. Haven't had a pina colada in I don't know how long, but that with like papaya, it straight up is like, I could see drinking this in the summer. It's a perfect summer beer. So I'm enjoying the shit out of it.
Right, do you have the brain rot from raising a kid where you hear certain words you can only think of like references to movies? Because when I hear papaya, all I think of is Shrek going, papaya, papaya!
Jim, I'd say you have brain rot from a few things.
I have brain rot from a lot of things. It's beyond the point.
But Jim...
This is one of my more harmless brain rots.
But Jim, do you think it's possible to get brain rot from whiskey fungus?
Well, Brian, apparently, because I had no idea about this.
So, neither did I, and the article we have comes to us from the BBC, and this is actually, I didn't realize it was such a known phenomenon, but basically anywhere where whiskey is distilled, created, because of the I'm going to do my best science bro talk, where you have the evaporation and the ethanol, it creates this, what is literally called whiskey fungus, because I am not going to try to say the Latin name of it, because I will fuck it up.
Whiskemus fungus?
That would have been too good. But you see these pictures, and I'll put them up here. Literally, like...
And for people listening on... So for people listening on the audio-only versions, the picture they use is of a playground, and it looks almost like you wrapped almost like a marsh around metal.
Yeah.
Where like you have like the lighter and darker hues, but it just looks like legitimately like mold growing on metal, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah, it looks like black mold. So Jim, you do your best. How would you say the Latin name of that?
Well, Brian, given my 1 year of Latin in high school, the Baudinia Compensationis.
Yeah. So when Jim showed me this, so it's fascinating because once again, that name was given back in 1870s from a French distiller association because anywhere you would go, they would have this problem. And it's fascinating because I dug into it more. During Prohibition, the number one way they found distillers of whiskey was this fungus would be growing on the outside of buildings or something. So you'd see just this black mark up a building and you go, well, they're obviously doing that.
Right. Even to this day, they use that to find moonshiners.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Jim, you can use your tinfoil hat here. I looked up about 7 different studies
Globalists?
that all said this is not harmful at all to humans. It's not an issue. I didn't bother to dig too deep. They seem like independent studies. Who paid for the studies? I don't know. But I can't imagine something that's a black-looking fungus is completely harmless. Because then they go on to say it's harmless to plants, to humans, animals. But if you ever need to remove it...
Sure.
They're like, if you ever remove it indoors or something, wear an N95, wear gloves. I'm like, but if it's harmless, why would you need all that?
Why don't you just lick it off? It's probably delicious.
Well,
and nutritious.
I can see why they would say don't lick it off. But yeah, like you can only power wash this shit off. Like I said, apparently there's never been a case, or if they have, they've been squashed so well. It's just crazy how widespread it can be within an area of this.
Well, Bri, before Biden's new Patriot Act for the internet goes through and we can bash the government without being fined. So part of the article says that the lawsuit that's coming against this for Sam Adams, or not Sam Adams, for Jack Daniels.
Yep.
It's happening in Tennessee.
Yep.
Tennessee's known for their whiskey, known for their little belt. Big part of the, big part of the identity of Tennessee, we can say at the very least.
Sure.
You have Tennessee whiskey laws that have to be followed in the United States by those traditionalists. And
somehow,
this little warehouse didn't get all of its permits. Didn't get properly permitted.
Yeah.
Weird how that happens.
That's the thing where it's...
I don't know, Brian. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Are you suggesting...
They might look at a different company with more of a...
I'm just...
Bit more, Brian.
Are you suggesting that money could be greasing certain wheels? Is that what you're saying, Jim?
Look, Bri, if I can quote The Simpsons. Timber!
I mean, let's put it this way. Yeah, there's something definitely very shady. Someone down the line probably... They either didn't do the right things, they paid for it to be overlooked, whatever. But to Jim's point...
Where is Whiskey's Aaron Brockovich? Where is she when we need her?
What's going to happen here is every single Jack Daniels and probably whiskey plant will now be whatever yearly federal reviews they have, they're all of a sudden going to be rubber stamped to you need to be checked out right now. So they're probably going to be a whole slew of like either you're shut down or you got to do this, this, and this because this is how this shit goes. Like I said, but if that stuff truly isn't harmful to people, it's like, okay, then...
I mean, it's possible. It just doesn't pass the smell test to me.
No, it doesn't. But it's like, at a minimum, what I imagine, they're going to have to pay for local cleanup of all the areas. But it's one of those things where you go, all right, they're going to do whatever they need to do to fix this. But it's the same as, like, have you ever driven through an area that has pig farms?
Yeah.
And I had to specify pig farms because, my God, and I know there's been documentaries on it, could living anywhere near there? Fuck that.
That's some rough living.
Like, so if you happen to live near a whiskey distillery as big as a Jack Daniels one, yeah. If you can move, I don't know. But no, these guys need to get their shit under control. I just find it so weird that they're so sure it has no effect on humans.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would actually be interested to see if there's any studies that come, like, general population consensus, taking a look at life expectancies in areas right by them.
Sudden, yeah.
Because, I mean, if people live to, normal age, okay.
What if they're all drinking whiskey, though?
Well,
which one are they going to pay for? That whiskey isn't bad for you or the fungus isn't bad for you?
Ooh.
Now you're competing interest.
Well, there are, what are those, all those studies now where, like, they're saying that, like, any alcohol is bad for you, not even, like, the 1 or 2 a day that were bad.
Don't even be moderate. They're like, before moderate, which is hilarious. Every time you go to a doctor and they say, do you drink alcohol? And do you actually know what the recommended, when I say recommended or allowable drinking amount is?
Not what I do.
Well, it's 2 drinks per day. Which even that, they mean 2 drinks per day.
I was going to say, what constitutes a drink?
Well, so wine, it's like literally like a glass. For liquor, it's like 2 ounces. For beer, it's like 2 8-ounce or 10-ounce beers at a certain percentage. All that shit. So
right.
Like basically like a Keystone or Miller Lite, but 2 cans of that. Even that was shocking though. They're saying like That's fine 2 days every single day. I was like, that seems excessive. I was like, yeah, because when I drink, other than when we do this podcast, I'm like, all right, so podcast, we go through 2 or 3 beers on a weekend. On average, it's maybe 2 or 3 other beers, maybe 1 drink on top of that. So I'm definitely low on the per week. But I'm like, yeah, now they're saying even moderate is worse than nothing, which I'm like, no fucking shit.
Yeah.
It'd be like saying, don't drink soda. All right, well, if you drink soda, have it rarely. And then they'd go, well, if you have no soda, it's better than any soda. Obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a weird one. All the studies that will come out way, way down the line. I'm more curious, like, our generation, it's these things. It's phones. It's RF signals. All that shit where you're like, you used to use those things day in, day out and keep them near your balls and do it. Like,
Yeah.
You know this is going to be no good. They wonder why Japan is so infertile.
I thought that was just the anime, Brian.
It could be. Or the Bluetooth devices. Just saying. You tell me, Jim.
Either too many Gundams or not enough Gundams. I don't know what the problem is over there.
God damn.
Put a waifu in a Gundam. Population's spiking right up.
Jim, the real question is, how much would it cost you to eat some of that whiskey fungus? Listen, Ted DiBiase said it right.
Everyone's got a price. Ah, shit.
And I'm talking like a morsel size, like a Hershey Kiss size.
Hershey Kiss size, huh?
$1,000?
Make it 10.
So you're telling me if they put down $5,000 in cash right in front of you, you're gonna say no? This is, by the way, I am notorious. Like, if you go on a car ride with me or you're with me for a long time, I'm going to do these hypotheticals to you until you break down. You're like, fine, $1,100 cash.
Fine, 30 cents. I'll suck the dick. Fine. You do have a way, Brian. You do have a way.
You got to find those points. I always call bullshit when dudes are always the funniest ones. In theory, it's always like a crazy number they throw out. And then you're like, so if you had this cash right in front of you, they're like, well,
It do be like that.
Chambers. So yeah, this is the shit with this Jack Daniels. I am actually interested in. I would like to follow, see what actually comes out of it, see if there's cases or something. But now it's a new thing I never recognized. So whenever I go to see a distillery, I'm sure if they're doing things right, you'll never notice it. It would be interesting to see if you notice any black around the outside of the building.
That would be interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even because we have those local ones to us, like those little small guys, but...
Yeah, but I'm sure they're using the correct filtering systems and all that, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But Chambers, speaking of interesting, what do you think about Sony's next handheld? Which is a sentence I didn't think I would ever say.
Yeah, their track record hasn't been great. The PSP did pretty well. The Vita, oh boy. So, yeah. What are they calling this? Like the Project Q or something like that?
Yeah, codename the Q Lite.
So, basically, this isn't going to be a standalone handheld like the PSP and Vita were. This is basically going to be like a remote play device for your PlayStation 5. So, it'll most likely be a...
kind of like a Switch, but it's not really it's not the whole device in one. It's just a secondary...
Well, not even like the Switch, because the Switch can do everything on its own.
Well, that's what internet. I mean, yeah.
This, you're going to need like a constant internet, and it's going to be like talking back, a remote play device talking back to your PlayStation 5. You actually can do that now with a Vita and a PS4.
Really?
Yeah. From what I heard, it doesn't work all that great. It depends on your internet, and the translation to the control schemes can be kind of wonky, but you can still kind of do it for a lot of games. Like a buddy of mine was playing Elden Ring off on it.
Oh, shit.
Like, yeah, it's a little weird, but I make it work.
At that point, though, why wouldn't you just do a Steam Deck?
That's a question. Like, one question is why even do it at all? Because it's like they're touting some like pretty impressive specs. It's going to be an 8-inch screen. It's going to have that like haptic feedback control in the controller, which is just going to zap battery life. Like, I don't see like this thing's not going to last that long.
But I guess here's my question.
And you have to be in an always on. Like, I know the internet's way more ubiquitous now than it was back then.
You're going to get it anywhere.
So for the most part, like if you need to find some internet, you can find it. But it's still like you can't sit in the middle of a park and play for the most part.
Jim, our
Depending
future's
on where you
going.
live.
Eventually you will. I mean, so that's the thing. They're thinking internet is one of those things everyone's going to have anywhere, wherever. Even battery life. I almost look at a point where it's like our phones, in theory, can last long, but everyone's always charging their phone because you're like, whatever. You're so used to charging shit that like, what's a realistic battery life you need for any of your devices?
I mean,
anything over 2 hours is probably great if you're running a AAA game, is what I'll say.
Yeah. And I mean, it might have a little bit of an advantage since you're not like, doing all the processing on the device itself. It's just, it's being a
cloud
TV.
Yeah, exactly.
For the most part. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it even comes out or...
If it comes out,
and the price is going to be important because we already see what's happening with the VR too.
Well, that's where I'm like... We've said Sony, without doubt, best hardware, had the best first-party games, but now we're seeing more and more how many of their first-party titles are coming to PC. And the Sony boys are freaking out because they're getting modded to shit. Like, unless they start all of a sudden getting a stranglehold, which they can't afford because of the shit with Activision and Xbox, like, they won't have enough of a... Like, they would have to have some gimmick to this to make it really worthwhile. Yeah. Unless you were just first party, even then, it's not going to be enough. If this thing is... I can't imagine this thing's less than 400.
I would be shocked if it was...
I would be shocked
if it was less than 300.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my my over-under at 300 for this.
I mean, I don't doubt if it did come out, it would probably feel the best, look the best. But yeah, that price point versus battery life versus like, why do you really need it? That's going to be a big question mark.
Yeah.
So we'll follow it. It's like anytime we hear these things, just like, but to Jim's point, the PSVR 2 is it's not looking good, Jim.
Yeah, their outside devices haven't been doing too hot lately.
I wonder if they're just going to blame it all on the next thing, Jim.
Yep. So, Brian, as anyone who follows this podcast knows, we've been talking about this Activision Blizzard Microsoft merger since the beginning. Mm-hmm. So it's really any gaming podcast. But in this week's update, Jim Ryan, the old big boy over there at Sony, basically the CEO, basically saying, well, as my thing fucking loads and a goddamn ad is on my goddamn article in front of me. Well, Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong as this bullshit loads.
Go on.
Basically, he was saying we can't survive without Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny they're coming out and being that blatant. We've said before, they try to make it gray and previously kind of be like, it's just unfair for all these games. We've said it's very obvious they're only worried about Call of Duty. I didn't realize the lifeline of PlayStation was Call of Duty that heavy, which really leads me to believe, like, their total sales numbers, Call of Duty must be something massive, like 10 to 15%.
So they're saying that PlayStation said that they would, quote unquote, would never recover if Microsoft were to release a degraded version of Call of Duty on the PlayStation if the acquisition goes through.
That's basically admitting...
Saying that a degraded version, and now they're just talking about degraded versions too.
Yeah, well, but they're just talking
would seriously
about, like,
damage our reputation. Yeah. Our gamers would desert our platform in droves, and network effects would exacerbate the problem. Our business would never recover.
So either this is a mass overestimation of...
Estimation?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Shut up, you're drinking grape.
My tum-tum hurts.
Is this something you really want to say as PlayStation? Basically, like, our first parties, our shit ain't good enough. Without Call of Duty, we know we're losing a lot of our fan base to a point where you say we'd never recover. Is that not a little extreme?
Yeah, I mean, I know... Right, those dirty, filthy casuals. They are what drive all these companies at the end of the day.
Sports and shooters.
Like we saw with that beer bracket last week. People buy what they know.
Which I don't doubt, but it's like...
But I mean, yeah, like Call of Duty's like a shell of what it used to be. Like it can't be that big of a.
Well, they're
driving
also
force.
like, so when they say a degraded version, they mean you'll have earlier access on Xbox. You might have some exclusives.
Which before we said, wah, because PlayStation threw money at them for a decade.
And
to
have
do
been
that.
doing it.
Yeah.
But here's my question. Do you think casuals care that much about exclusives?
I mean, I would
Enough
just-
to go out and pay another $500-$600 for a whole nother system?
Not
When-
really.
That's my point. Like,
Yeah, the hardcores will do it.
hardcores for sure, but like, think of our group of friends who do play Call of Duty, and it's that once a year. Like, would they drop all their shit because like if you couldn't do it on PlayStation or Xbox? No. And I think that's majority of folks. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, video games, like it or not, it's still a teenager to kid thing. I don't care. I mean, unless you just got rich parents, you can't go and be like, well, there's a better version that has better skins on Xbox. Give me this whole new console.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a crazy ass statement. I think they're just really trying to do. They're throwing shit at the wall and seeing they block this sale.
Yeah.
That's my only guess, because there's no way that's a real statement.
Yeah, it seems like a Hail Mary kind of statement. It's like, man, why would you show your ass like that?
You're showing your ass, and then what would ultimately happen is the same way that last bullshit they pulled where the judge was like, this whole bullshit about them being exclusive, you guys have done it, show your books. They're going to do the same thing here. Show your books. How many of your player base are actually there just for Call of Duty? And you could get all that data. It'd be a very long process. Maybe it's true, but they're just going to throw whatever they can at it.
Yep.
So, I don't know. That'll be interesting. Of course, we will continue to follow it, but yeah, that's a weird one. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah, not the thing I was expecting to see.
No. All right, Chambers. So I mentioned at the beginning one of the games I'm playing is the Resident Evil 4 remake, and according to NicheGamer.com, Capcom has made a request.
Yeah, Capcom themselves have made a request. So they have gone over to, hold on a second. So yeah, basically for any game that comes out these days, there's going to be mods.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be mods. There's going to be some goofy sex mods, goofy nude mods.
Yeah.
I have seen Leon's dick so many times in the past week and a half. So many.
Fuck.
He has got a meat monster on him. And the most I've seen of Ashley, someone just made like this real ridiculous, like fat, but like just like an unbelievably bloated like ass and tits, but like that was it. Like this crazy ass like wobbly mod.
Okay.
So shit like that. But of course, there's nude mods of everyone out there and crap like that. So yeah, Nexus Mods is well known for all their moddings and like being a hosting site for a lot of mods.
Yeah.
And they've removed mods before for a lot of reasons, sometimes controversially. But yeah, this marks a very different time because the actual developer of the game went to them and requested that all the mods of Ashley be taken down. Just Ashley, though.
Yeah, that's the one where you go, well, okay, how old is Ashley actually supposed to be?
I think in the remake should be of age, hopefully.
Well, that's what felt weird. Is like, why wouldn't they just say take all nudes down?
Right.
Like, why did they qualify it to Ashley? I don't know her. I'm not even up to the section where I know her age, but that's a weird one. Number one, okay, like you said, this isn't the first game they've done it to.
Right.
They've done
Won't be
it
the
to
last.
They've done it to 2. They've done it to 3. To my knowledge, Capcom has never done it. All right, here's my question. Why do you think modders just feel the need to do that?
Right. My game. I'll enjoy my game how I want. All right?
You can, but you don't. I guess the people doing it, are they doing it ironically for the ha-has, or are they doing it for real?
Little of column A, little of column B.
I'm
Who's
not
to say?
I'm not saying you know for sure, but if you had to guess, which is it?
I'm sure. What do you call it? A lot of them's just for the joke, and a lot of them
It's
is
not
just
for
to
the
see
joke.
her, not for the joke. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. I don't know what it takes to mod something. I imagine you have to be fairly talented. At that point, why don't you just make your own nude game? Or like something to that effect.
I'm sure they do, but Bri, Why would you want to go through the trouble of making some OC no one cares about? You can take an established IP. Such a legendary character such as Ashley Graham.
Okay.
Throws some big old fangers on her.
Here's what I don't get. So, as someone who, like, my understanding of mods has been limited to Skyrim or Fallout 4 on the Xbox.
And at least the first Resident Evil 4, she was 20. So
okay. I don't think they would
Woo!
change it. Fuck, Jim.
Man, my search history would have been trouble.
God damn it, Jim. But here's the deal. When you see the mods, like the million, like turn Mr. X into Thomas the Train, or any enemy into that, or in Skyrim where it was the dragon that was Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Other than for that 10-second clip you see on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, do you think people actually play the entire game with those things on, unironically, other than to see it for that second and then turn it right off?
I mean, some of them you could just get too lazy to do.
I don't know. Like, see, whenever I've done mods for Fallout 4 or Skyrim, they're usually, it's like brand new textures, added blood, like weather, like things that like change. I've never like thought like, let me just go ahead and turn them all the Simpsons characters.
Right.
I laugh at them. I see them when they're on Facebook and shit. Like when they did God of War with Homer and Bart.
Yeah.
It's funny. I would never actually play the whole game like that.
Would be a little weird.
Like, okay, so say there was, I'm sure there are, say there was a mod for Streets of Rage 2, and it was like, convert them into just insert something.
Oh, there's already been a shitload of mods like that where they throw like the Ninja Turtles into Streets of Rage 2 or the Simpsons or other stuff like that.
Does any of that spark your interest at all?
Not really. And there's repro cards of people who like reprogram the game like that. They're not expensive. They're like $5-10, or you could just download the ROM.
Sure.
And even then, I was just like,
you don't need it.
No, I don't need it.
Yeah, so these nude mods, to your point though, I guess, how easy are they to get on Steam? The only thing I will justify from Capcom is like, you should probably request that any
further their intellectual property, and we cannot mess with our intellectual property in any way whatsoever.
Well, just get it away from the possibility of not that a kid should be playing Resident Evil 4 Remake, but you don't want that easily accessible, I guess.
But why just the girl, Brian?
Well, no, I said you should just say
nudity.
Huh? Nudity should be banned.
Brian wants to show kids cock.
God damn it, Jim. You're the one. Ashley's 20. Woo!
Oh boy.
I don't get why the mod exists. I don't get why Capcom is only saying Ashley. None of it makes sense to me. There's something very odd there.
Yeah, I mean, the prevailing thought, at least in comments, is like, they don't want to risk the face actor portrayer to be like thought of in that light and crap like that. It's like it's not their body. It's just a face that they plastered onto a model.
Aren't all the models though like? I mean, yeah, I know they're structured after somebody, but like they're all based on the original game. So
but yeah, they had like based off real like whatever kind of models or facial capture things. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a weird one. Did Nexus say if they'll actually...
Right now, it's been shadowed, but it has been taken down as of the writing of that article. So, like, you have to go digging for it, but it's not completely taken down.
All of a sudden, next week, Jim, what have you been playing? Resident Evil 4.
Well, Brian, I'm on my 4th playthrough of Resident Evil 4 Remake.
God damn it, Jim.
Dusted off the old Steam account I never used.
Fuck, Jim. So, yeah, we will follow this. I am very curious. But once again, then... why haven't they done it for 3 or 2, where Jill and Claire's model actresses would need to be protected to do the same? I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it's not like there's ever been... I'm sure there's been the same kind of mods for those games, and it's not like there's ever been a backlash because of it.
I've never even heard of it.
Like no one ever saw that and went, how dare Capcom put that in this game? Like, no, like everyone can know right away.
Exactly. That's not from them. Yeah. I really don't get it, but we will for sure follow it. But Jim, on a lighter note, I have a question.
All right.
For our good buddy Nick, for his N Squared podcast.
1 year anniversary.
1 year anniversary. Congrats, buddy. And if you haven't already, please make sure you check it out. So I asked him a question, but it was one I wanted to ask you too. Which would you rather do? Be able to play a game every single day for 10 minutes a day and that's it? or you could play for 5 hours straight once a month. That's the only time you can gaming. And I mean, you can't like try to do a backdoor. Like I can play some on my phone. I mean, any form of gaming you do, your time capped at 10 minutes per day, and they don't carry over. So it's not like if you decide 3 days in a row, oh, I'm not going to play, then I'll do 30 minutes. No. Which would you rather? And in your current state, like, so, you got the family, you got things. Would it be nicer to just tell the wifey, this is the only time I can play, and I know we're in a weird situation where this is never going to happen.
Right.
But which would you rather? Get that little enjoyment every day? Or once a month, you're like, oh, baby.
I think I'd have to go the once a month because, one, I kind of live in the 10 minute. And, I mean, you'd be taking it away from me when I'm on the pooper. But
your poops would all of a sudden become very boring.
And a lot quicker, probably, too.
You're
exponentially
You're
quicker.
at work. You can't be clashing.
Might as well just take my balls at that point.
I mean, if you were at home and nothing's really on TV, the wife decided to go out with the kid, and you were just sitting there alone, you can only fap so many times.
Especially now. Getting old.
So, yeah, it's like...
I have a headache now.
It's like... So you think the 5 hour kind of...
You know what it is? I still think after a while that 10 minutes a day will just be too much of a tease. Where it's like what are you going to do with a real game in 10 minutes?
Interesting.
Like, you need to have the block. You need to at least have it to get it out of your system. Sure, after 5 hours, you'll be far. You could even be super close to the end and be like, fuck, I just want to beat this. But, I don't know. I think... Well, then again... you'd have to make it a thing where the time, is 10 minutes a day equal to 5 hours in one block.
That's why I did it. So...
Is that equal?
10... Yeah, so
okay.
Basically if you did 10 minutes over 30 days, it's equal to 5 hours. So you're basically getting the same amount of time. It's just spread either all over the month in smaller increments
10
or...
minutes is a cock tease. If I'm going to have a little me time, I want to at least enjoy my me time.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought about this too, but then I would also have the... could you imagine if you were... Fury or any games are really hard.
Fuck.
If you're not kind of constantly doing it, your 5 hours, and I also look at, I'll be honest, even so Friday nights, Saturday nights are nights I get to sleep. Saturday mornings, I get to sleep in a little bit later. The wife does Sunday. My Friday night, I'm always I'll stay up to 2 playing it. I am so tired by 12, where I'm like, all right, well, that was an hour and a half, 2 hours I played, where I always have these visions I'm going to play later. Never, ever do.
Yeah.
I almost feel 5 hours, I don't know if even though I love gaming, I don't know if I would want to do that. So part of the 10 would be I could at least commit to a variety of games still. Yes, it is a complete tease, and most games, you're barely going to scratch the surface. But if you commit 5 hours, chances are you're just going to try to beat one game. You could split it up, but it's could you imagine and for argument's sake, you have a kill switch on your game. Could you imagine you were going through a run of one of Streets of Rage and it took you that long and you're right there and it just cut off?
Oh.
You're like, no. Now you got to wait a whole month to do it again.
Yep. That would be brutal.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the 10 minutes. It would almost force you to be way more disciplined with you'd probably stick with games where you're all right, I know I can probably get this done in 10 minutes. Like I said, either one's not a good option.
No.
But like I said, me. I love my hypotheticals.
You do like your hypotheticals. You bastard.
Jim, don't hate my hypotheticals. So yeah, I can't wait to see what Nick says on his response. So yeah, Nick, once again, N Squared Podcast. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe. So we do have a new voicemail here. I don't think this is TJ. I don't know.
Let me see the first couple numbers. That's TJ.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to play it just like I do all the other times.
And for all you people out there who are new, and if you want to leave a voicemail, 267-991-0156.
Here we go. Let's see.
Hey, Brian and Jim. I've got two questions for y'all. And it's not my usual stupid stuff. It's actually kind of like actual questions. Number one, why don't y'all do more on Twitch? I think when you did the Video Game Awards, I think that was fairly successful with the amount of people you had watching and the amount of interaction you had. I kind of like to see y'all do some more stuff on Twitch. Why haven't y'all? Number two, with E3 being canceled, is it the absolute death of E3? Do you think we might see it come back in future years? I know for video game nerds like us, that was always kind of like the mecca of what we wanted to go to, and it seems like now we can't do it. And it seems like, all the video game developers and also like Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, they're doing their own things. Streaming their events that we can watch on, our computers and whatnot. But it kind of takes away of going and doing something with like all your fellow nerds for this passionate thing. Do you think we'll see it back, or do you think it is going to be all just streaming stuff from these developers and companies? I want to know what y'all's opinion is about that. All right, talk to you later. Bye.
All right, very good questions. The Twitch thing is the thing that bothers me the most because I love streaming. And to your point, E3, and even when we do casual streams, I am astounded by how many people show up. I love it. It's just like everything else. It's like, what do we have the time for? Trust me, my thought has always been like, all right, well, if I cut back on editing certain things, we could do more nights of Twitch streaming. But then it's just like, if I try to commit too hard to a day and then life happens, I feel bad. So it's like half the times it's just like, oh, kids are in bed. I got some time. I'm going to, I don't give Jim more than like a half hour notice because I don't know until that point. But I really would love to do it because I always find myself, whenever I play a game now, I end up having to record the footage anyway. So it would be nicer to just do it. I would love it though. Like I said, getting Jim, it's the same deal. Getting two schedules on track.
That gets rough.
Yeah, it's super rough, but it is so much fun when we do the dual streams because...
Yeah, I do love doing those.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. So,
and I wish I had for my answer, I don't have a good enough computer.
Yeah.
So I would love to have a better computer so I could do some on my own as well, so we could do more of them. But until that day comes,
Yeah, so the short answer is I know I'm definitely going to do more. It's just a question of, can I keep a consistent day? Probably not, but I've thought more and more about it. And instead of just always, as I'm going through each 23 games, there may be more sporadic, hey, it's 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. I have some time. Maybe I'll stream, and just set up. Because then it's also the question of, is it cool if I just stream and talk to you guys? Or do I need to be on camera, do the whole set? There's just things like that. So it's a lot more work than just we can commit to it. But I do love doing it. And for the big events, I definitely think I'll make more of an effort to try to do that anyway, like we did for the Game Awards.
Yeah, now we have to do that again.
Which is kind of what ties into the E3. That was going to be a natural, I was going to stream it, do the same thing, talk through it. I know Jim is very happy it's dead, but he's a Twitter guy, so he had to see all this stupid who won the E3, all that
No more
bullshit.
Spurgeon for me.
Yeah, they probably will have to bring... I don't know if E3 itself, but some version, because, yeah, you need something I said, it's sad. If they got rid of too many games for us, that would suck. Because that's just an excuse to go out and drink with other people. I imagine in the industry, that is just it's a cool, fun event. You go off, you show off your stuff, you get the big things out there on YouTube. Sure, could you do it other ways? Yeah. But to your point, I do think there are a lot of gamers that did legitimately look forward to that. So I can't imagine it's dead forever.
I could see them trying to do a nostalgia run to bring it back, at least maybe once. But here's the thing. So, to your point about too many games or those conventions, they don't live and die on the big names being there.
No.
So, they don't need that. They never have the big names there. Nintendo and shit. They'll have voice actors and a lot of indie studios showing off their shit, but it's a more localized kind of thing. E3 is, at the end of the day, just a trade show.
Exactly.
So you can't have a trade show if you don't have the trade there, basically. So I think at this point, they're not going to get Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft unless they pay them to be there. Because all three companies have learned that they do not need E3. So
yeah.
E3 will not happen without them, and if they don't want to go, then there's going to be no E3. So unless they pay them, you're never going to see it again.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of my point is just downscale. Like, I think they got too big. Their overhead must be crazy for the size of the places. Instead of doing whatever, what do you think they're doing at that point? Is it like a stadium you think they run out?
Like they were doing, I think they were doing like the LA Convention Center, which is I'm pretty sure is a gigantic ass one.
That's what I mean. So
it's where like Comic-Con is every year.
Maybe get more in line with, we can't keep covering these overheads. You know, like bring it to its grassroots of just, let's get out some info. We don't need all the goofy presenters and all this shit, so they don't have to pay out people.
That's the thing too, because like as the game got like changed over the years, everyone's fucking presentations got more elaborate.
That's
so
what I mean. It's
they're
too
spending
much.
like $2 million on a fucking presentation or some shit. Like, stupid.
Go back to, you know what we want to do? We want to showcase game trailers, have, like you said, the trade show there. But at the end of the day, you don't need all the glitz and glamour. Like, MagFest was cool.
Yeah.
But some of that shit was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And that's a way smaller version of E3.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of like can't imagine how crazy it's a whole like to-do thing. But also it's like kind of, is it unfair to say that because they've probably lost 3 years in a row due to COVID, like any form of shit going on there, and still like you see these conventions where still everyone's masked. I mean, we saw that at MagFest.
Yeah.
Like it's probably still driving down how the numbers they were used to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people are staying away because they're scared of, catching stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's the people who, I don't want to wear no wokey mask. It's like, yeah, okay. So there's those people there too. So you get all the extremes.
Sure.
So it's whatever.
Then you get guys like us who are just too drunk and be like, wait, what?
Right. Booze kills germs.
I mean,
If you don't want COVID, you just got to drink yourself stupid.
of the amount of cases that were reported from MagFest, we didn't get it.
It's true.
Just saying.
Wonder why? Oh, look at me. I'm here to cosplay and actually enjoy the presentations. Shut up, nerd. Get drunk. I'm only 15. Shut up, nerd.
Let's put it this way. I want E3 to come back because gamers, you could argue we have constant access, but you know what? It is something kind of like nice. Like this is where the AAAs really need to show off. I don't like the annoying like who
But I mean,
it.
they don't show off at even like a MagFest, but like you were saying, yeah.
Like, I want them to do that at an E3. I want them to put their effort into show a trailer that's going to make gamers excited, lower your production values, allow more indies, and just lower the venue. And you can probably make it profitable, which is what they're worried about, is my guess.
Just fucking Sony just sets up 10 TVs and Gary from accounting's there.
Yeah.
Oh, here's God of War 3.
Yeah, I don't care. No. Okay, have you ever gone to anything?
But are you going to care about it if, like, you're not seeing, like, any presentations or shit come out of it? If it's just, like, a newspaper article with, like, oh, this is what they showed off. No one's going to care at that point.
But nobody looks at the news. No. What I'm saying
But
is...
I just mean, like, newspaper, or, I mean, like, articles on websites.
But give it the event. At the end of the day, no one is there because they care about the presenter. Everyone's there because they're like, I want to see the shit on the screen. Just like a Comic-Con.
But yeah, if you want to see shit on a screen, you can do that from home on YouTube, which is what they do now.
No, you can, but also if you were in that area, it's still then a thing. Like it's an event for you and your buddies to go to. When we go to these things, we don't care about. I mean, some people we care about seeing, but I'm saying like in general, if you're there, where we go too many games.
Oh, we
trade
barely go to
games.
these activities.
That's my point.
We go if people we're with want to go to something. We're like, all right, we'll go.
But it is cool to have the option, like, oh, I want to see it. But if these people got to pay out the ass because they're bringing, like, overproduced things, then lower it. And at the bare minimum, show new games, allow a venue for people to get together and enjoy themselves. That's it. You keep it simple, stupid. That's all you got to do. So, TJ, to your point, I do hope they come back. I know Jim doesn't care at all.
Fuck them. No.
Jim wasn't watching it when it was out.
Burn. Burn in hell where you belong.
And on Twitch, I'll definitely for sure be coming back, and I'll be pulling his ass whenever I can. So,
a lot of ass to pull.
With that, guys, we want to say thank you all so much. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating, hit subscribe, and we will read any comments you leave for us. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, guys. Drink your water.
Damn it.